UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to another UFO update. I want to thank Christine and her husband for just kind of doing the interview, even though it was Christine on camera. I think you'll find this one close encounters of the very disturbing kind, and we'll get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, have you taken a good look at the banks lately? On the surface, everything seems fine, but there seems to be a whole lot more going on underneath. It's like looking under the hood of a car and finding a mess of broken wires and parts. The parts are loans for homes, cars, and those credit cards we all use. Folks, they're hitting record highs. It's kind of scary when you think about it. Why risk your money for a tiny 5% return when things are so shaky? This is where Noble Gold Investments can help. They're like that friend who knows all about keeping money safe. They suggest gold and silver, oldies but goodies in the financial world. Plus, they've got a sweet deal, a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin this month if you qualify. Pretty good stuff, right? If you're curious, just give them a call at 877-646-5347. It's just a chat, no pressure. They'll help you figure out if gold and silver are right for you. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, the number 877-646-5347. Folks, we've invested in Noble Gold, and quite frankly, I'm glad we did. And I want to thank Mike Hamilton and his lovely wife, Darlene. We spent a couple of days on their ranch. It was just really amazing. They have an unbelievably huge ranch, and they set this up. They have a home fellowship that is first century church. There were no grand poobahs. No one's giving a sermon. They sit in a circle. They worship. People relate. Read Barna's book, Pagan Christianity. This is what I hold to. We had that up in Ventura years ago. It's amazing because everyone sits in a circle and everyone brings something. You know, not every Sunday, but it's open. It's open. There are no grand poobahs telling us what to do. No church hierarchy. Yeah, there's elders, and Mike Hamilton is certainly one of them. So I just want to, before I go down that rabbit hole too much further, Pagan Christianity by Barna and Viola. So this is Christine, and it's a great story. It's a disturbing story, and we'll get into that. And afterwards, I'll weigh in on it. So Christine, first of all, thanks for coming on the record. I really appreciate it. And I admire your courage and your boldness for telling your story. So give us the backstory. You're into rodeo. You're in West Texas. This is 2008. You've got horses and a horse trailer. You've got your kids in there, dog, horses. Pick up a story from there.
Yes, so I'm driving in between Hamilton, Texas and Dublin, Texas, and I'm cutting through this little two-lane farm to market road. It's about 11:30 at night, and it's me and our two youngest children, and I'm just kind of winding around. It's really dark. It's a dark night. I'm going slow because it's a curvy road, and it's dark. I hadn't been on that road before. There's nothing out there but a bunch of dairies, and I come around this curve, and all of a sudden I see this bright light off in the field, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 yards away. And I was thinking, is that a cell phone tower? I was like, that's a weird place for a cell phone tower to be. And I was just kind of musing over that, and as all of that's going on, I kind of come around the curve some more, and then all of a sudden that bright light is right in front of my vehicle. And close, it's probably 10, 15 feet above my vehicle.
So that's like right on top of you, essentially.
Yes.
And what did this object look like?
So at first, I couldn't tell what it was. I just could tell it was this bright light, and it freaked me out because, it was out in the field in my peripheral, and then all of a sudden it's right in front of me. And
let me stop you right there.
Okay.
The distance from the field and the car is about 1/8 of a mile, roughly. And how fast did that light move from the field? I mean, like, are we talking 5 seconds or 1 second or 10
instant.
seconds?
I would say like
Instant.
a second.
Okay.
A second or two. It was like here and then poof, right there.
Now,
Like 1
from your
second.
perspective, as a human being that's grown up in the modern age, and you know what we have, you know what airplanes and dirigibles and jets and everything else can do, was this something that was out of your normal experience to see something move that quickly?
Oh, completely out of my normal experience. Completely.
So-
I could tell instantly it was nothing I had ever seen before. I've
Okay.
seen the Thunderbirds perform. I've heard them break the sound barrier. I've seen all that, and this was nothing like that. It was something that, yeah,
Let
I've
me ask you
never
something.
seen.
When you saw it move from the field to the front of the car,
Mm-hmm.
did you see a streak or did it jump?
I feel like it jumped.
Ah,
I feel like it jumped.
Okay.
Like it was here and then poof, it was
so it
there.
was there. So it jumped through time and space.
I don't
Okay,
know.
which we
It
all
was
know
just
that
it.
we have nothing like that on this planet that we know
Yes.
of.
Yes.
So pick up a story from there. So what happens?
Okay, so my 8-year-old daughter was in there, and then my son was, 4, and so it's poof, it's right in front of us, and it's just this bright bluish, bright light, and we're staring at it, and my daughter, she's kind of peeking. I look back at them real quick.
So they're in the back seat.
Yes.
Okay.
They're buckled up in the back seat, and she's kind of peeking through the middle. It's a double cab pickup, 4-door pickup,
Got it.
diesel, and she's peeking around, and she's like, "Mom, what's that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Lock the doors." And so I reached over and locked the doors real quick, and she's like, and we're just kind of staring at it, and I could see, I feel like I should be going underneath it, as I'm driving, and it's like this, if you feel like you should be going underneath it and
But you
pass
don't.
it, and I'm not. And so I started to panic. I was like, what in the world is going on? What am I looking at? I knew it was some kind of spacecraft. And I was like, okay, got to pay attention to details, what. And I could see it was triangular shaped. It had 3 sides. And of course, that big, huge light in the center.
Let me stop you right there with the
okay.
light. Did the light remain constant? Did it slightly pulse or get dim or get bright? What did the light do?
I feel like the light was constant.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Okay.
stayed constant. The big, bluish light, whitish blue. And then around the sides of the light were more smaller lights all around the outside edges. And, it was probably 10, 15 feet above me. So, and the lights around the side looked more like the size of my fist, And the big light, the main center light, was probably 8 or 10 feet in diameter. It was as wide as, a little bit wider than my whole truck. And and I can even see, staring at it, because I was looking for guns. I didn't know. I had no idea what the heck, anything. I was just trying to figure out what it was. And I could even see like the little squares. Not the blue light was obviously a light, but around the big blue circle light, and in between the little smaller lights around the outside edge of it, I could see the little squares, and I could even see around the outside edges of the squares what, I don't know, I can only describe it as rivets. I don't know if they were flat or if they stuck out. I have no idea. But it just looked like, my brain was processing. It looked like, you put something up there, and then you attach it around the outside edges. I don't know if that's what it was. That's just how my brain processed it. And so I'm at this point, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing all these details. I feel like I should be passing it. I'm going like 25, 30 miles an hour. And I'm not passing it. And so, this is 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. All of this is, going. And so I mash it. I put the gas pedal on the floor. because it's me, my kids. You know, I'm worried about my kids. I have a horse trailer. All right, so I mashed the gas pedal down because I'm starting to panic because I feel like I should be going under it, and I don't. And so I just mashed the pedal on the floor, and I feel like it should go like that, but it's not. It literally stayed the same height above me, the same distance right in front of me, which was basically over my hood, and it just kept going like this as I accelerated. And I'm kind of going around, you know, another curve, and I was worried about throwing the horses down. That's how fast I had, you know, I had gassed my truck, and so I'm worried. I'm like, and even like in my head, I'm thinking, you know, what in the world, you know, are we gonna get beamed up? You know, just thinking about, you know, watching Star Trek as a little kid. You know, they would beam up objects because it was staying right there, and so I flash back and I look back at my kids again, and my son's just kind of like riveted, staring at it, and my daughter, I look at her and she just, I hate this part. I don't even like talking about this part. My daughter just like, she fell over, and she just like collapsed on the seat. So then, you know, my mama heart, I'm starting to really freak out then. You know, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and I can't get away from this thing. And I knew I was in danger of probably wrecking, and I didn't want to slam on the brakes because I'm like, if I stop, then it really can beam me up. And so I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm just stuck in this weird, for another 2 or 3, 4 seconds, it feels like 5 seconds, I don't know the time. And then in my peripheral, I see behind me, like another set of headlights came behind me, and like another car came around the curve behind me, and all of a sudden, when I saw that whatever spaceship, whatever it was, it just like, it took off and went. I watched it. It like went from here to the horizon as far as I could see, in like a matter of a second or two. And that was more like a streak, like
Okay.
and all it made was like a hissing sound. It was like a shh, almost like an air release, a slow air release, not a loud one like air brakes like I've heard on our motorhome, but just like a slow hiss, and it was gone.
Let me ask you something. I want you to take a deep breath and think about this before you answer. Are you sure you were moving? Are you sure you were moving? When you're in the car, because think about this. A car, you said you mashed the pedal of the metal. Okay, I got that. But then there's a car that comes up behind you. So if you're going really fast, and this is a curvy road, how does that car suddenly catch up to you? Are you sure you were moving? Are you sure you were moving?
I've thought about that before. I don't know.
Okay.
It scares me to think about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Take a deep breath.
Yes.
You know, greater is he that is in you and me than the scumbag that's pulling all this nonsense. I get that. So don't be afraid of it. Is it possible that you were, and I want you to know something. I've heard this before. With a group of girls that got into a car. They had an encounter. It's in one of our films. They had an encounter, and she says on film, we were speeding, but we weren't going anywhere. And she doesn't realize that what she's saying makes no sense. But in her mind, they were speeding, but they weren't going anywhere. So I'll ask the question again. Were you moving, or in fact, were you stopped dead on the road, and that's why this thing was right in front of you and didn't move?
I know I was moving at first. But it worries. I don't know. I have a hard time processing because that car that was behind me.
Right.
I don't really remember it ever passing me. And I pulled off. I know I pulled off the side of the road to check my kids when it zipped away after it and was gone. And because I remember getting out of the vehicle and checking, but yes, I don't.
But you don't remember the car passing you.
I do not remember.
But all you saw was headlights.
Yes.
I'm going to throw a real curveball at you right
Oh
now.
boy.
Okay? You're a believer.
Yes.
You love the Lord.
I do, totally.
Okay. Is it possible that what came up behind you were sort of celestial reinforcements, angels?
I guess, yeah, it could be possible.
Because you never saw it pass you.
Right. I never, yeah.
You're sure? You're sure you never saw it pass you?
Yes, I don't remember that part, and that's, yeah, that kind of.
So you pull your rig over, and surely you would see a car go by you.
Right. And I've even thought, that car, if I was that car that came up on something like that and I saw the vehicle pull over, I would pull over and be like, hey, what did we just see? I'd want to know. I'd want to talk about it.
So that never happened.
That never happened. Especially in a country town,
Are you
It's
sure
a
you were
small-
moving? I'll ask it again. And you had problems with
I
the
do.
car, the electrical system in the car afterwards?
We did have electrical problems with it, yes. But I can't, my memory is not, I don't remember if it was problems before as well or
Okay,
not.
all right.
It could be very possible that was all
And this is all
afterwards.
in the time frame of the Stevensville lights, and you're like 20 or 30 miles away
Yes.
from the Stevensville lights, which happened in 2008. Maya Wycraft, Ricky Soro, who we interviewed in our book, further evidence. So I'm very, very well aware of what happened at Stevensville, and that was an unbelievable encounter. So it makes me wonder. So I mean, I don't know what you saw. I mean, I believe you, everything you say. I think it's one of ours in the sense back engineered, but that's conjecture and speculation. What was troubling to me, that's why I kept throwing this out to you. Are you sure you were moving?
Yeah, I can't answer that 100%. If I was moving or if I wasn't moving. I remember feeling like, I need to be careful. I'm going to throw the horses down, but I never felt them jerking or any thrashing.
I'll give you the last
So-
word, Christine. Thank you so much for coming on the record. I'll give you the last word.
Oh, give me the last word?
Absolutely.
Oh, geez.
Take us home.
I know. So yes, so that was the summer of 2008 after all the Stephenville stuff. And I was a believer, but I didn't know to the extent what I know now as a believer. So, yeah, I just want to get that out there, and I want people to know that it is out there, and whether, whatever it is, whatever that craft was, I didn't see anything inside of it, but I knew it was messing with me.
Right.
Like it was purposely messing with me, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it.
Thank you, Christine.
No.
Thank you for coming on the record. I really appreciate it.
So this is what I think happened, just to reiterate. And we've heard this before in UFOs Are Real, the 70-year-old cover-up, right? Exposed, very first film in our UFO series. There are now 8 of them. But there was a woman who gave her testimony. And she was on the way back from a dance. They were like a bunch of girls in the car. 3 or 4 of the girls were from foster care, foster home, and they saw lights above the trees. And they pulled over, and they realized it wasn't a truck that was mud running. They got scared, they got in the car, and then she says on camera, we were speeding, but we weren't moving. We were speeding, but we weren't going anywhere. In my opinion, Christine had an encounter, a very disturbing encounter, because she says, and I mashed the pedal, so pedals down to the metal. But the UFO, from her perspective, is following her like this. Could that have happened? Yeah. But when I pressed in on this, she realized that, wait a minute, that maybe that's not what happened. maybe I was just being held there. I also think they were after her daughter, and I think the lights that came up behind them were the good guys. That's my take on it. But no one was taken, no one was abducted. But until she told me the story, she had never heard another possibility of what happened. You know why? Because the car that came up behind her never passed her. Folks, UFOs are very strange, but they are also very real. And we see in the media all this stuff going on in Congress, and Tim Burkett and all these, Nancy Mace and the congressional hearing on UAPs, and David Grush, the whistleblower. We've got retrieved bodies. And as I said earlier in the week, or in one of our recent UFO reports, here's a piece telling us why are smart people concerning themselves with UFOs? In a nutshell, this is the coming great deception. This is the strong delusion that Jesus warns us about. Folks, I'm not making this stuff up. It's here, and guess what? It's not going away. I still can't get this thing to work. People are writing in, oh, you've just got to be blah, 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 and careful and hold it up. I've tried all that. Maybe there's something wrong with it. I should probably take it apart and waste more time. But I digress. Anyway, I will be at the Prophecy Watchers Conference at the end of the month. I'll be talking about Roswell. I think you'll find that interesting. And then probably Days of Chaos. Why? Because that book, it's prophetic, not because I'm prophetic, but I'm just looking at the Word of God and expounding on it. And I think we're here. I think we're in a window of time that, in my opinion, is absolutely unprecedented. Hope to see you there. ProphecyWatchers.com, ProphecyWatchers.com. Check out our store. Check out our streaming site for our DVDs. There are 30 films that you can watch. 30 films that you can watch. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. Streaming.lamarzulli.net. I'll say one thing. I just thank Christine and all those people that come here on a daily basis to our YouTube channel. They subscribe. They write some nice things. And we need your prayers. We covered your prayers. The enemy hates what we do. He's relentless. But greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucer. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brizzell was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.